Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's training. I'm Jessica Mays, Infusionsoft Certified Consultant and owner of Mays Consulting Group. Today's training is titled 8 Infusionsoft Legacy Features that can increase your software productivity 800% in the next 30 days or less. I know that's a mouthful, but you will find that we will be covering 8 tools that I would consider hidden gems inside of Infusionsoft that can help you incredibly. As I told you, I'm Jessica Mays. I do recognize a lot of people that are attending today's call, so I know a lot of people already know me. But in case you don't, or you don't know me all that well, I'm just going to take a minute, possibly less. I'm trying not to talk fast, to tell you a little bit more about myself. I've been an Infusionsoft customer since 2010, and I've been certified as an Infusionsoft certified consultant since 2011. So I play inside of Infusionsoft all day, every day in my app and in many customers' apps. I live and I work in Madison, Wisconsin. I am a Wisconsin sports fanatic along with my family. And I do have a blog if you aren't familiar with it. It's on my website. You can find that quickly, easily at jessicamays.com/blog. By all means, peruse the entire website, but that is hands down the most popular page on the website. So the blog is Infusionsoft centric. It is based off of my experience every day working with Infusionsoft customers. I hear questions asked more than twice, and I know I have a blog post on my hands. So everything is very real world, whether I'm dealing with it in my Infusionsoft app or you all are dealing with it in yours. Today, I want to tell you what you're going to learn. We're going to be talking about legacy. And you may or may not know what legacy is, but by the end of this call, you will know what legacy is. You're actually going to know in the next couple of minutes. But anyways, you're going to find out what the heck legacy is and why you should use some of this old school functionality. It's old school. When you hear the history of what legacy is, you're going to understand why I'm referring to it as old school functionality. You're also going to learn how these software features can save you more time, get you more organized, and make you more money. So Infusionsoft's, one of their big taglines is that Infusionsoft helps you save time, get organized, and make money. I would suggest that using even one of the things that you learned today, and you're going to learn 8 things, even using one would even save you more time, get you more organized, and make you more money than Infusionsoft is already doing in whatever capacity you're using it. And I've also mixed in some real Infusionsoft customer examples because it's important for you to understand that you've carved out an hour of your day and I've carved out time to create, slides and a presentation around this information because it's practical. This is not like, why are we talking about this? We're talking about it because this is stuff you could put to use in your app right away and probably start seeing some really cool results. I have 2 tips before we dive into the material, and there's a lot of material. The first thing is I've got this picture here. This is a picture of the movie poster for the movie The Grand Budapest Hotel. And our presentation has nothing to do with the Grand Budapest Hotel, but I really do like Wes Anderson movies. And one of the things I love about them is that the casts are huge. So you have to watch the movie from beginning to end, and you have to pay attention for a lot of reasons, but one fun reason is because you never quite know, at what point Bill Murray's going to show up in this particular movie. So my first tip is to pay attention from start to finish because there's going to be all sorts of good information all the way through. My second tip is revolving around this picture kind of explains what I'm about to say. This, in case you aren't aware, this is a picture from Disney World, and this is a ride. It's called Rock and Roller Coaster, and if you've not participated in it, it's this experiential thing where you are riding along with Aerosmith and they're late for a concert. So you have to hop in the car and then you fly down the highway to get to the concert and you go fast. I sat next to my son on this ride and his hair was literally just standing straight up and he doesn't have that sort of hairstyle. So you go very, very fast on that ride. And so I thought that was a cool picture to reference for my second tip because I want you to buckle up. That means I'm about to throw a lot of information your way. And some of you are newer to Infusionsoft. Some of you have been using Infusionsoft for years. Some of you Infusionsoft is starting to really come easily to. Some people Infusionsoft is still kind of new territory and you tend to get overwhelmed. There's all sorts of places you can be in your Infusionsoft journey. And so now you've come to a place where you're going to learn a lot of actionable items. I want to remind you that this training is being recorded. So you're going to get the full recording a little later today. You get to keep it. It's not going anywhere. Even though I do have an action set that I could make that link go away, I will not, and I'll explain that later. Anyways, the recording will be available to you. So please just listen to me tell stories about this so that you can try to visualize using these tips in your business, or if you're in the service industry and you service Infusionsoft customers, ideas for ways to put this to work in your customers' businesses. Take notes if you want, but like I said, you can refer back to this information at any time through the recording. So please just take it all in and enjoy learning about all these new things related to Infusionsoft. Now, I love to tell stories, and people on this call that have worked with me one-on-one, whenever I'm explaining things, I'll often say, once upon a time, and then you know you're about to get some historical information about Infusionsoft. But anyways, once upon a time, there was no such thing as Campaign Builder. And some of you may know just what I'm talking about. If you've been around maybe more than 4 or 5 years, you remember when there was no Campaign Builder. You might remember that Infusionsoft was black and red inside rather than green. But anyways, if you've only come on board with Infusionsoft in the last few years, I'd say 3 or 4 years, which PS is kind of a long time ago, we've always had Campaign Builder around. Before that, we didn't. So legacy is the term that's used for some of the functionality that existed inside of Infusionsoft before Campaign Builder. So there is a lot that we're able to do in Campaign Builder that used to live in all different spots throughout Infusionsoft. And we keep the older functionality in place because there's customers that have their business running on Infusionsoft and have for a decade. So there's still definitely businesses and customers using the legacy functionality, but just about everything now can be done in Campaign Builder. But when you are looking in your main menu, when you hover on that Infusionsoft logo and you've got that 30,000-foot view, you see the word legacy sometimes in your menu, and if you click into that, you start to see some tools that we use some of those things because we didn't have Campaign Builder. Okay, there's 2 spots in that main navigation where you see legacy appear. One is under marketing and one is under e-commerce. Now, you might not have a main menu that looks like this, and if you don't, there's 2 reasons for that. The first reason would be this is a main menu. This is a screenshot of one of my applications, and it's called a complete version of Infusionsoft. So if you look on Infusionsoft's website, they have different versions of the software. One's called Essential, one's called Deluxe, and one's called Complete. And so this is a visual of a complete. And so if you don't see, let's say, an e-commerce panel, it could be because you don't have a version of the software that has e-commerce tools. So you may or may not see legacy twice in your menu, but the most you're going to see it is 2 spots. The second reason, you might be saying to yourself, well, I do have complete, and I still don't see that. The second reason that you might not be able to see everything, it would be based on your permissions. So I have my user settings set to admin, so I see absolutely everything, can access everything in my app. but there are users in my app that are not admins, and so their main menu would look different. So you may or may not see all of this information. Now, I showed you two spots where it's really easy to find legacy functionality in Infusionsoft. However, there's another spot where legacy functionality lives, and it's in the settings area of the CRM panel, the CRM column up in your main menu, and we all have that regardless of our version of the software. Now this area, if you're also logged into your Infusionsoft app and you're kind of clicking around while I talk about things, this is the area where everything we'll be talking about is going on in that area of the application. By hovering on that Infusionsoft logo, clicking on settings, and going into that area. So specifically, once we go into that settings area, you'll see over onto the left, there's a column and action sets. It says action sets over on the left, and that is where we're going to be hanging out. So we're going to talk about action sets and campaign builder. So that's, I think, something that I specifically want to point out, and I think is very exciting about this particular training, and what makes it super valuable is that you can use action sets inside of Campaign Builder. So it's the best of all worlds. Anything that you can't do in Campaign Builder and you can do in action sets, you can bring that into Campaign Builder because that's where you're running your automation. That's where you've probably built your funnels. So when you're inside of Campaign Builder, so let me walk you through this. So you go into a campaign, and then you go into a sequence. So one of those rectangles out on your campaign canvas, you've got a toolbox where you've got timers, and you've got communication icons, and you've got process icons. All the way at the bottom of your list in the process section, we typically stay at the top of the list because we're typically pulling out the tag icon and the task icon. Those are the most popular things that we put into campaigns. But literally all the way at the bottom, you've got the icon for action sets. And lo and behold, it says legacy in parentheses, and now you know why. But anyways, that is how you can make all of this come together and work in your existing system. So it's truly a win-win. Okay, I already told you at the beginning, there's 8 things we're going to cover today, calling them the Great 8. There are actually 19 things you can do via action sets. So if you've been clicking around, if you're listening to me, but you're also clicking around, and you went into that action sets section in CRM settings, the drop-down menu has 19 things on it. I went ahead and counted them for you. 19 things you can do via action sets. However, 9 of those things can be done directly in Campaign Builder. And this is not a training to encourage you to reinvent the wheel. So the 9 things that can be done inside of Campaign Builder, by all means, do them in Campaign Builder, right? You only need to know about the Great 8. And yes, I do know that 9 plus 8 does not equal 19. So the reason that there are that there's only 8 that we're going to talk about is there are a couple of things, and it'll become very obvious to you when you look at that list that the likelihood is very, very low that you would ever need to do those things. And so we don't worry about those 2. We'll just stick with the 8 that can be really powerful and can help you see results really, really quickly inside of Infusionsoft and tying it into Campaign Builder. Alrighty, the first one, and these are in, I would say no particular order, but they are actually in an order. The order I picked for this is the order that they show up on that drop-down. Okay, so this is the first thing on that drop-down list. And so the first action set I want to cover is sending an email. And you're thinking, well, gosh, Jessica, you said there's 9 things you can do out of Campaign Builder. Is this one of them? Yes, you can send emails directly out of Campaign Builder, but you can't quite do what I'm going to explain this action set can do. So that's why it counts in the Grade 8. So bear with me. You would use an action set when you need or you want more flexibility in your email. So let's dig into this a little bit more. Let's talk about the double opt-in, the email confirmation email. So when you're in Campaign Builder and you decide, I would like to do a double opt-in. And what I mean by that is somebody requests something, and before you actually give it to them, you send them an email and have them click to ensure they really wanted to opt onto your list, really wanted to receive the information. That's a double opt-in. In Infusionsoft, we can do a single opt-in and we can do a double opt-in. Oh, it's an or. And it's an or. Anyways, when we bring out the icon that is in Campaign Builder for doing just this, it is a very, very quick and easy way to pull together a double opt-in. But what you find when you bring that one out, we try to configure it. We try to have it have our own little spin on it. And you have very little email template flexibility using this particular email confirmation email, the one that's in Campaign Builder. On the other hand, you have total email template flexibility when you send your email confirmation via an action set. So that would be a reason to forego sending an email using the tools directly built in Campaign Builder and using the send an email action set. Now I'm going to show you a customer example. This is an Infusionsoft customer. Her name is Maya Smart. She has a really, really awesome lifestyle blog. It's mayasmart.com. I love everything she writes, and I recommend you go check it out if you haven't already. But Maya wanted more flexibility with the confirmation email that's sent when people opt in on her website. And so her team put together this action set to send out the email confirmation email. So this is one of her email confirmation emails, and she has total control over the font, the size of the font, the copy that's inside of that email. So there's total creative control over the email because actually the action set is sending an email that you've prepared over in marketing templates. Okay, and if you've ever worked with building emails over in marketing templates, you know that you have a ton of flexibility over there. So here's an example of a customer that's using this particular action set to do their double opt-in. Okay, now the second action set I want to share with you is creating an appointment. I'm finding that this particular, I don't even want to call it a trick. I mean, it's just that nobody knew about it. And as people are learning about it, I am finding people are really, really digging the ability to do this. And so I'm excited to continue sharing this with people anytime someone will listen to me because a lot of people are finding benefit in this. So let me explain what I mean. So you definitely can manually set up appointments inside of a contacts record. You can go into a contact record, you can click the create an appointment button, you can fill in the form, you can hit OK, boom. An appointment is reflected in that contacts record. The action set would allow you to have some automation occur as a result of setting that appointment. So when you just go into a contact record and you put that they have an appointment, that's the end of it. You can't push out an email telling them they're confirmed for their appointment. You can't remind them to come to their appointment. You can't let the user, it just becomes really difficult to trigger any automation without doing something else. Okay, so by putting this action set in play, you can trigger that automation. So I want to talk about an example around this. Let's talk about scheduling appointments between an Infusionsoft user and a contact. Now, that is very broad. Many, many businesses schedule appointments between people on their team that use their Infusionsoft application and a contact in their database. I will tell you this is going to work best when you have a scheduler on your team. That doesn't have to be their job, but what I mean is this works really well in law firms, in accounting firms, in arenas where somebody is saying May 12th, yep, that looks good. Okay, great, you're confirmed. And then you can send off the automation of the confirmation and the reminder and all of these things. The thing that I want to make clear is this is creating an appointment inside of Infusionsoft and automating things that go along with that without using a third-party scheduling software. So if you're using a third-party software, so if you're using Time Trade or you're using Schedule Once or you're using Appointment Core or something like that, you probably don't have to do this action set. But if you don't want to invest in a third-party application, because everything I just mentioned is an additional cost above and beyond your Infusionsoft application, this is a great thing to explore. So what you would do is you would enter the appointment. My recommendation, I think the smoothest way to do this is to create an internal web form, and you create internal web forms in Campaign Builder. But you actually fill out the web form over in the contacts record. So when you hit submit on that web form, the action set would run. And what the action set would do is it would notify the user via an email that they have a new appointment with a particular contact. And another cool little thing that happens is in that email is a link, and if you click it and you use Outlook, Calendar, Google Calendar, or iCal, it will put the appointment on your calendar, but you have to click the little attachment. And it's only those 3 appointment calendars. So if you use a different one, I don't think the link will put it on there for you. You certainly could test it though. So that's one of the things that the action set would do is it would notify the user. So the user, let's be clear, the user is the person on your team. So in a scenario where we've got an accounting firm, the accountant would get the email saying, you now have an appointment with our client, Jessica Mays. Okay? And then to take it one step further, because you're in a campaign, you can fire off whatever automation you want. You can also you can confirm the appointment with your client, and then you can remind them when it's time to have the appointment, maybe day before, or morning of, or whatever you want to do, because we have those cool timers that we can work with in Campaign Builder. So let me give you some tips about how to make that all happen pretty smoothly. An internal form, I like internal forms for a lot of reasons. You have to remember that with an internal form, the only way you can fill it out is you have to be an Infusionsoft user. So if the person you have scheduling things, making appointments for people on your team, if they don't have access to Infusionsoft, you would need to use an external form, which is fine. But I love the internal form because, number one, it helps you not create a duplicate contact record, because you actually go to the contact record to enter the form. And number two, it pre-populates any info that you already have. So if you already have their first name, it pushes it in there. If you already have their email address, it pushes it in there. Whatever you have on the form, if we already have the info, you don't have to enter it again. So that's a time saver. Now, I'm going to show you an example of a internal web form that would work great for this. And you're going to find that I always put 2 date fields on the form. So one is a custom date/time field, because that is the kind of field Infusionsoft has to see to be able to run this action set properly. And I'll tell you a little story as to why that's really critical. I'll tell you that in just a second. Let me finish the thought. The date should be entered a second time on the form using a custom date field. And that is so that you can send those reminders out if you choose to do that. So when we're creating a custom field, and you create custom fields in the admin settings area, and you get to name the custom field, and you get to indicate what kind of field it is. So it's a text field, or it's a number field, or it's a date field, or it's a date time field, or it's a drop down menu, or whatever it is. Okay. So one of the options is date/time. So when I first discovered this cool system, I blogged about it. This is great, do this, and I demoed it, and I was just using the one field, the custom date field, because the custom date field allows you to use those field timers inside of Campaign Builder. So I just thought this is great. Well, what happened was a customer who has an accounting firm, he sent me an email and he said, this is great. It's exactly what we need and what we want to do, but the appointment always shows up on our calendar at midnight and we can't figure out why. And I couldn't figure out why either. Well, this is why. When you're setting up the action set, the time, you have the ability to say, pick the time that we put into the form. So when we're filling out the field, when we say May 12th at 2 p.m., use all of that information, May 12th, 2 p.m., when you put it on our calendars. If you just use the date field, like I originally was doing, it doesn't know what time to use, and so it just defaults to midnight. Okay, so that's why this is super important. I always preach test everything, so you would eventually catch this, but you'd have to go backwards and redo a lot of stuff. So that tip, I know it was kind of long and wordy, but it is, you'll be very happy to have thought about that. Okay, here's a little option. We're going to get a little fancy. And remember, I'm showing you a visual of this. That's the next slide. You can also denote who the appointment is with in your office. So if you have 3 people that you're scheduling for, you could say the appointment's on May 12th, 2 o'clock, and it's with Jessica. Or it's on May 12th, it's at 4 o'clock, and it's with Melissa. Or it's, so you can also denote who the appointment is with, and that would allow you to send notifications to different users. Just keep in mind, you need an action set for each user. Okay, so I promised you a sample internal web form. So the top information, the first name, the email, as you know, if you've created an internal web form, those fields pop up by default. Keep them, change them, whatever you want to do. But what you want to for sure have in is that custom date/time field and the custom date field. So what I always coach people to do is the second time you're asking for the date, I would type in confirm appointment date. Because if you think about when we're filling out information just in our daily life, we are constantly confirming something that we're entering. So we'll say enter your password, confirm your password, or enter your birthday, confirm your birthday. So we're very wired to do this and we don't think anything of it. So if I saw a form and it said date and time, confirm the date, I would think nothing of it. If I just saw put in the date and I saw put in the date, I would, because I'm inquisitive, I would say, why are we doing that? So if you want to cut down on the questions with people that are filling out this form, throw in the word confirm, and I think that will probably do the trick. Now, I also said you could denote who this is with, and so use a radio button, and then you will, in your campaign, be able to route people in the direction that you want them, that you need the contact to travel. Because basically there's an action set sitting in each person's sequence, so that I would get a notification if the appointment's with me, Tracy would get a notification if the appointment's with her, Melissa and Debbie, and so forth. Okay, so that's creating an appointment using an action set. Now we're moving on to the third action set, and that is to set a contact field to a specific value. And in a nutshell, this will automatically put specific data into a field in the contact record. You also can automatically clear information out of a contact field this way. So both of those things are really powerful things as we continue to dive in and talk about this. If it's not real clear right now, hopefully it becomes clearer. I will say learning this one alone can really impact your Infusionsoft user life or your user experience. This is a really, really powerful thing that you can do, and this is the only spot in Infusionsoft that you can make this happen without additional web development work, programming, things like that. So I could think of all sorts of different examples as to what I mean, putting specific data into a field or clearing specific data out of a contact field. I'm going to start with clearing out because I don't have a slide for that, so I'm just going to talk you through it. Have you ever had information sitting in a field and you discover you put the information in the wrong field? So this commonly happens when we import a spreadsheet of contacts. We discover we put the telephone number in the field where it denotes what type of phone number it is, home phone, work phone, whatever. And we did it for the entire database. So let's say 500 people have data in the wrong field. So this is a way that you can go ahead and get that information out of there in one fell swoop. So it's just an example. There's all sorts of things you can do with that. And then the other example I've got here is to automatically put specific data into a contact field. And let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Think about swapping out a link in an email for some time sensitive information. So that was my little joke that didn't make any sense at the beginning of the training, that the recording's going to be available and I'm not going to swap out the link. If I wanted to, this is how I would do it. I would actually run this action set to pull it out. And I don't have any reason to do that, so I'm not doing that. But anyways, so you can have a link in an email. I mean, how many times have you sent an email and then you wish you could pull the email back and change the information? This is sort of that concept. You're sending out information, and today the information is accurate, and maybe by Monday the information has changed. So you want to swap out a certain link so that they no longer wind up in the place that you were sending them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Really, really slick. Another thing, and this is, anyone can benefit from this tip, but particularly if you're on the line and you support Infusionsoft customers, this is a great tool to put in your toolbox, because anyone who's worked with the e-commerce piece knows that a promo code, you can't shut it off after a certain amount of time. So after a promo code is used one time, you can't just make it disappear or something. And so this is a way, it would be a bit of a layered process, but you could have a buy link in somebody's email, and when they open that link, it's tied to a product that has a rule where a certain promo code works. And then after they've bought, so they've clicked the link and now a purchase has been made, you could run the action set, change the link. If they were to ever open it again, it could still be a link to that product, but it would technically in your Infusionsoft app be a second version of the product, and the promo code is not attached to it. So now they could buy it again, but the promo code would not work. So it is a way, it's a workaround, to be able to get promos codes that you're only able to use them once. Now, it's not perfect. It would work once in that email. But frankly, I don't think people understand. They're like, oh, it doesn't work anymore because I used it. I don't think they would then set out to just go find the link in somebody else's email. So this is another example, and I have to say, if I would have done this training 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had this bullet point on here, because this is a strategy I came up with just a few weeks ago working with another Infusionsoft customer, and this is probably the basis of a training course all by itself, this little concept right here. So hear me out on this story. So like I said, I was working with a customer a few weeks ago, and we want to track how often people are making a purchase. So that doesn't work for all of us. I'm not in the retail space, and maybe you aren't either. So I wouldn't track this, but there are definitely a lot of businesses that want to track, has somebody purchased from me one time, or have they purchased from me 3 times? Because if they've purchased from me 3 times, I might want to talk to them a little bit different. And so anyways, what I'm doing in this particular case for this customer is I'm using an action set that when a purchase is made, if there is no information in a certain field, like no information, there's no data, I have this action set put the number 1 in the field. And then follow-ups go out to the person as if they are a first-time customer. If they buy again, I have it search that field, and if there's a 1 in the field, I have the system put a 2 in the field. So now follow up is as if they have bought, they're a second, 2-time buyer. So they don't get the follow up that a first time buyer gets, because the first time buyer was nurtured to be a second time buyer. So we don't want to do that nurture again, right? So now if they make a third purchase, yes, it happens again. So the 2 is swapped out by a 3, and we talk to them differently. And so that's a really cool way to be able to talk to your customers in a very relevant way. And you don't need any extra tools. You just need to know about this action set to make something like that go. All right. So I'm going to give you some tips around this particular action set, because there are a few moving parts that you have to know about in order for it to work. Because, of course, you'll test everything, and if you find it's not working, this is probably why. So in this example, the first example that I gave, that you would have a link in the email that went one place on Friday and a different place on Monday. The way that works is you hyperlink the actual merge code of the custom field. So you're familiar with merge codes, no matter what level you're at, because when we create emails, we, at a minimum, we merge in, hi, so-and-so, hi, first name. And so it's the squiggly line, and then contact dot first name. And I'm oversimplifying. There's capital letters that are required there. But anyways, that's the concept here. Every single field in the contact record has a merge field. And so the merge field that's going to have the link in it needs to be the thing that you hyperlink. So you highlight the button that says click here to buy, or the thing in your email, the words that say click here to order. And when you go up to that pop-up box to put in the link, you put in the merge code, the merge code. And so that is a tough thing to wrap your brain around when you're first doing this. But in this case, you would put, if I had a field that was contact.emailswapinfo, that's what I would hyperlink. And that feels really scary. It's like, that's not going anywhere. Actually, it is, because whatever URL you're telling Infusionsoft to put into that field, that's where it's going. This is so slick. And in this case, I would not put in jessicamaze.com. I would put in that merge field. So, for example, I could run an action set that says, put jessicamaze.com into this particular field in the contact record. So then everybody would get that URL in their custom field. Their email would go out, they would click, Infusionsoft would be reading whatever's in that custom field, and so everybody would go to jessicamaze.com. And then a few days later, I don't want everyone to go to jessicamaze.com. I want them to go to infusionsoft.com. It's kind of a weird example. I mean, that wouldn't be a shift I would make. But anyways, so I would run another action set. I would say put www.infusionsoft.com into that field. And so the next time somebody clicks on that link, Jessica Maze is not sitting there anymore. Infusionsoft.com is. One more tip. Like, you needed another tip around this one, right? You do need to run the action set every time you need to swap out the information. So in that example I just gave you, the first symbol for action would be putting jessicamaze.com into that custom field. Then the email goes and the link's in there, and then 3 days later, an action set is run to put infusionsoft.com into that field. So you have to run an action set every time you want the information to change. All right, creating a referral partner record. Yes, you can do this automatically in Campaign Builder by using the partner fields on a web form. So when you're building a web form, there is an icon that you can pull in while you're building the web form, and it will bring in fields so that if they're filled out, a referral partner record will be created. You can get a campaign out of Infusionsoft's marketplace that already has that web form created for you with those fields. So yes, you can do it that way if you want to build your referral partner using, your referral partner program using web forms. That's totally fine, but a web form is not always the practical strategy to build a referral partner program. And so that's why I want you to be aware of the action set functionality, because if that's not always the way you want people to join your referral partner program, I want you to know there's other ways you can get people in there without having to do it manually. Okay, so here's an example. Say we send an email to our existing list and we tell them we've decided to have a referral partner program, and if you want to be part of it, this is what happens. We will give you links so that you can promote our great programs, and if in fact somebody invests in one of the programs and they did so because they used your link, you'll earn a commission or a cup of coffee or whatever the terms of your program are. So you would send them the email and you would say, if you want to be in this program, simply click and we'll make you a referral partner. So that click would then move them into that second sequence I've got in the row here on this visual, and in there would be the action set, setting them up in the referral partner program. So rather than click and a web form pops up and you gather all their information, they can just click and now they're in the program and boom, off they go. Okay. Now in this case, you probably would still have like a welcome to our referral partner program. Please be sure to tell us, we send our commissions out through PayPal, so please tell us your PayPal address or whatever that might be. I mean, you want to really think this through and get your strategy down pat, but I don't want you to just always think they have to fill out a web form or you can't get people into your referral partner program unless you manually add them. Here's one more example. So if you do want to manually add people, it's a lot of clicks. If you've ever gone over to the referral partner section and manually added someone, it's a ton of clicks. And so what you could do, this is the exact same thing that was on the previous slide, the sequence, the link click, and the sequence. I added one more simple goal, and it's to apply a note template. So anytime you encounter someone who wants to be in the program, if you added this note template, boom, they would go into the sequence, the action set would run, and they'd be set up in your referral partner program. Okay. All right, we're going to talk now about canceling a subscription. So a subscription in Infusionsoft land is a recurring payment. And if you need to cancel a subscription, you can manually do so inside of a contact record in about 9 clicks. I've tested it. And when you do it with an action set, it can be done in as little as 0 clicks. It can be totally automated because it really could be initiated by your customer if you wanted to go that route. So let's break this down a little bit. The other thing I want to talk about is manually, you will have no option for automated follow-up. So just going into the contact record and doing the 9 clicks, you're going to have to do a 10th click to get some automation going, add a tag or apply a note or whatever you do. But in that case, you might as well have, whatever that 10th thing is, you might as well have just had that trigger this action set, right? So the action set is going to allow you to run whatever follow-ups you want out of Campaign Builder. So if it's an email saying, sorry to see you go, please let us know, why are you leaving, whatever it might be, put them on the newsletter list, get back in touch with them in 6 months, whatever it is, you can go ahead and program that in after the action set runs. So let's talk about a cancel a subscription example. So we've got a customer who's charged monthly for whatever. In this example, it's going to be access to a membership site. And if they decide they don't want to be charged anymore, they don't want to participate in the membership site anymore, you perhaps have a button inside that they can click the button. It's a cancel button. And so let's say in Customer Hub, we can have a sidebar. So you can have over in the sidebar, click here for customer service, click here for, canceling your subscription, however you want to do this. And this one click could cause this action set to run. But I always tell people if they're going to be doing this sort of thing, there's no pop-up that says, are you sure you want to do this? So when they click, boom, that subscription's off. Okay, it's going to run. Or they could call in, they could write in, they could manually email in, and you could, like with the referral partner program, you could apply a note to their record saying, doesn't want to do this anymore. Boom, you can cancel the subscription, running this action set. Okay, we're going to cover sharing a record with a user. So in user permissions, it breaks down like this. You can have access to all of the contacts. You can have access to only the contacts you own, or you can have access to no contacts. And that's kind of it. So this allows you access for some contacts, access to some of the contacts and not just the contacts you own. So think about that first bullet point. All of the contacts, or you have to own them. It's like either, that's it. This allows you a happy medium. You have some contact access and you don't have to necessarily own it, okay? So let's take real estate as an example. This is a common spot, and really think about anybody on this call with a sales organization. Think about access to contact records, and sometimes it's really critical that certain departments not have access to certain information. So let's take real estate. The broker, so the hierarchy in real estate is there's brokers, there's sales agents, and then sales agents usually have administrative staff. So the broker in this case would see all of the records. The salesperson would see the records that they own, And then using this action set, you could have the salesperson's assistant or maybe the broker's administrative staff has access to the records that the salesperson owns using this feature. So keep in mind, anyone you're giving access to using this action set, they have to be an Infusionsoft user, and there's no workaround for that. So the person that you're granting this access to has to be an Infusionsoft user. Now, the next action set is very, very similar. It's the exact same concept as sharing a record with one user, except it's a group of users. So what you need to do, there's a little work you have to do up front, and it's that you have to get your users into groups. And once you do that, then you can decide what group gets access to this particular record or group of records. Anybody who has this action set run for them. So here's an example. Let's go with a salesperson who has more than one assistant. So in that case, I'd put the assistants in a group, and then I would give access to the group. So rather than running access to assistant 1, access to assistant 2, access to assistant 3, so on and so forth, we would just say, give access to the assistant group, and everybody that's in that group now has the access. And here's some tips. And there's one little thing I want you to know about that particular action set, and it falls into tips as well. Groups are in a few places in Infusionsoft. So my little clever symbol for an arrow, that's a click. So from admin, you'd go to users, and then from users, you'd go to the user's name, and then from the user's name, you'd go to user groups. Those are all different clicks in Infusionsoft. So I'm apologizing because, as you can tell, I'm all for less clicks. But to find the groups, this is what you have to do. So there are user groups here. So you could go into somebody's user account and you could add them to a group from here. There's one more spot. You could go from admin to settings, to user settings, to teams. And teams equals groups. Just two different names. So you can see and manually update user groups and teams, like who has access to what, by looking in the Access Privileges tab in a contacts record. So that's the thing I want to hit on here. You can automatically grant access to contact records using this action set. There is no action set to automatically get rid of access. So if you give access to a group, then you'd want to have a task later to go into the contact record, click on access privileges, and get rid of the access if they shouldn't have access anymore. Keep that in mind. Alrighty, creating an order. You can manually create an order in about 13 clicks, and hey, sometimes it's appropriate to manually create orders. So when it's appropriate, do it. But if it's not totally necessary and you'd like to save 13 clicks, you can do this action set and it can be done in as little as 0 clicks. Again, manually, you don't have an option for automated follow-up. Just on its own, you don't have an option for manual follow-up. There might be some advanced users in here that are thinking, well, you could do a purchase action, Jessica. Yes, you could. But just the act of running the order, if you don't have any purchase actions set up in a different part of Infusionsoft, you can't get any automation to run. But if you run this via the action set, you can run whatever follow-ups you want out of Campaign Builder. Okay? So here's an example. If you have a situation where you want to run an order, but you're fully aware it's going to show balance due, and this is common when you have a third party actually making the payment, but you want to create that invoice, you want to get this all rolling, you can go ahead and do that. So that's one way. So somebody could click and boom, the order runs, but the credit card's not charged. There sits a balance due. Another thing is creating a one-click upsell on a thank you page, which is very, very handy. So say somebody buys something and then on the thank you page, they're offered something else, perhaps coming to an event, and then would they like to upgrade to be able to have lunches included? And if the answer is yes, you could set this up so that if they click, rather than having them enter their information again, it will run a second charge using the credit card that's been put on file. And then another thing you could do is a one-click upsell from an email or from a membership site, again, like Customer Hub. So let's say you have certain access areas in your membership site and you want people to be able to see the stuff they can't see at any time if they decide they want to invest in it. So you could have a link in there that if they click it, boom, they'll have access and their credit card on file is going to get charged immediately. Again, that is no joke. It's not like, are you sure you want to do this? They click, boom, the upsell happens. So you just have to make people aware of that in your copy so they know what's about to happen. So let's talk about why all of this functionality is important. Let me take a breath for a minute. It's important because it's much more efficient to do these things automatically, and there's way less room for error as well. And when you allow for automation, systems naturally emerge. And when you put systems in place, you now have a process that everyone's moved through. And the cool thing about that is everyone's moved through the same way at the same pace. That's a winning process, and it's going to start to make you more money. And in a nutshell, this is why we bought Infusionsoft in the first place. Think about, you have your specific reason, but I can assure you there's people on the line that wanted a system so that people were followed up with in a timely manner, so that things didn't fall through the cracks, so that everybody went through the exact same experience. All these different things is the reasons that we bought Infusionsoft in the first place. And putting these action sets into play allows us to continue with wanting to do that, and lets us take it up to a little higher level in some areas, because everything I called out today, unless you already knew about it before you came to the call, you either didn't know you could do it, or you're using extra web development, or you're using a plugin or something to make it happen. Okay, so now that you know, the big question is what's next? And the answer is that implementation is key to the success. I know it's kind of like, ugh. I'm in the process of losing weight right now, and it's like, why can't I wake up tomorrow and it's just done, it's just gone? And that's just not the case. I've got to do the work. And so these are awesome, awesome tips and tricks, but you have to do the work if you want to actually have the stuff rolling in your business. So if you would like, I do have a training program where I go through each and every one of these action sets. There are 8 modules, and you're able to consume all of them whenever you want and on your own schedule and in whatever order you want, because it's on demand. There's more than 7, but less than 8 hours. There's 8 modules, and sometimes they go a full hour, sometimes a little more, and sometimes a little bit less. But each action set has its own module. So if you were sitting here and you were going, I can't get off this call fast enough to figure out the appointment action set, that's the one. Cool. You could just go in and you could jump on the appointment, create an appointment action set right away. I've done this training in the past, and I've done it live rather than on demand, and that's been cool too, and there's definitely merits to that, but you were at the mercy of my schedule. So if the thing you really wanted to hear wasn't going to happen until the 6th class, you had to wait until the 6th class. And so that's what I'm excited about with this version of the training. I really, really like the on-demand piece. It's me walking you through all the steps. So this is sort of my teaching style is very conversational, but I can assure you we are in the Infusionsoft app in these modules that show you how to implement, because I can't just talk from slide and say, certainly you'll figure it out with me just talking from slide. No, we will actually go into Infusionsoft. We will implement each and every action set on its respective module. And I love that you get to work at your own pace. So if you crank this out over the weekend and you've got your action sets done by Monday, awesome. If you need 3 months to make it a go, great. You work at your own pace and you go in whatever order that you want. And there's going to be 30 days of email support from Team Maze. The plan is that the email support is from me, but in the event I'm not in the office or something, I have a team of amazing consultants that also can jump on questions. And everybody on Team Maze has taken this specific training. So everybody knows how to do all these action sets. All right, this is perfect for Infusionsoft customers that want to learn this and want to implement this on your own or using your team so that they could consume the how-tos and do it. So you will be doing the implementation here. And also Infusionsoft users. So all users are not necessarily the customer. So if you're a user, if you're an employee at an office, or you are a virtual assistant or a consultant who supports an Infusionsoft customer, this is invaluable for learning how to do this so that you can support your customers in a bigger way. So it's going to be perfect for both users and customers. My advice is to skip this offer if nothing today has resonated with you. If these examples are kind of interesting, but you just don't really see how they would fit into your business, that's totally okay. It's important to just kind of take it all in. It either resonates with you or it doesn't. And down the road, it may resonate with you, but if it didn't today, I don't think this training is going to be for you. So I say, get outside and enjoy the spring. And also, if you invest in training programs and then you don't consume the information, I just want to say I want you to be successful. And so I don't want you to invest in something that you're not going to use. So I say, don't worry about it. Okay, so we've got a couple of promos. Promo code LEGACY is going to save you $100 from now until next week on Wednesday, May 13th. My son is 10 years old. He was born premature, so his birthday's in March, but he was supposed to be born on May 13th, 2005. Anyways, and one more bonus, a 45-minute consulting call with me in the next 30 days. So for the first 4 people that purchase before Wednesday next week, you also would get a 45-minute consulting call. You can talk about whatever you want. It needs to be Infusionsoft related, but I really would strongly encourage you to do some implementation of this program, and then that be our talking point to, refine that and whatever you're doing with. I think that you'll get the most out of that call if you keep it within the action sets conversation. So the cost is typically $3.99 for the program, and it's going to be $2.99 through Wednesday next week. Yes, that's less than $38 an action set. So you just have to ask yourself how much this functionality is worth to you. You can get all the details about the training at this website. I know it's a mouthful. I'll put it in the recording email, a link to it, mazeconsultinggroup.com/action sets, and put a dash in there. And I told you that I'm losing weight right now. And so every time I have considered committing to losing weight, I always think, gosh, if I just would have done it last year when I thought about it, I'd be done already. And so I leave you with this. I live in the Midwest, so we've got tulips galore. So it's tulip season as I'm recording this. A year from now, you're going to wish you had started this today. And that probably resonates with all of us because we all have all this stuff we want to do in Infusionsoft, and then we think, why didn't I just do it? So this is your opportunity to jump on this and make it happen in your business. So if you're still on the line, you made it all the way to the end of the training. It is exactly 2 o'clock. I can't believe we stayed on time. You made it to the end, and I thank you for attending today's call, today's training about action sets. And hopefully you have something that you can jump into your Infusionsoft app and get implementing ASAP. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.